Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King here with HighVibe.tv for the show After Dark, the spiritual talk show here on October the 8th of 2019. Hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. If you never watched the show, this is the spiritual talk show. We go into lots of different subjects. We have lots of awesome guests. And of course, we're here on HighVibe.tv, which you can check us out on HighVibe.tv or our apps, HighVibe TV, Spiritual Network. And we are in a big week. Lots of energy going on. I'm sure you can feel it. Just, it doesn't matter if you follow astrology or human design or if you follow just even throwing some grass up in the air. It's intense out there. And tonight we got Sarah Paasch in the house. And we've got the one and only spirit advisor who's been back from Peru.
Hey guys, I'm back.
You're back. I'm stoked to have you back. Like, I just want to start off with, where have you been?
I went to the underworld. And I really got to rewrite that archetype for myself because I really realized and lived the reality that the underworld isn't where you go because you're being punished. It's where you go to transform into something even more refined. So yeah, it was a journey through all of the fears of probably my whole lifetime and many lifetimes before that. And just facing that stuff face first and realizing that you build this strength in your heart to know, yes, I'm always going to get through it. This too shall pass. And then you realize that you can bring that to like any situation. And that's when you really take control of this holographic reality, is when you decide in every moment, it's all good. It's love. We're going to be fine. So
thank God you went there, man, to bring that here during these times.
I felt so many people there, you know, connecting to me on so many levels. So even though like one person's body went, you know, it's definitely work that was done for many people's energy field, for sure.
Well, I was one of those people that was sending out my energy that way.
Totally. I felt you. And yeah, you were a big part of one of my experiences. So that'll be a fun story to share with you.
Yeah, actually, I know we need to talk because there was like a funny thing of, I think you already know, it was like at the exact same time someone was talking, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, you heard the other side of that story?
Well, like I kind of, but I don't know at all.
Oh, it's really cool.
But it was like,
are you guys going to like tell us the story? You're going to talk about the story that you're not going to tell us? So
Sarah and I have a telepathic thing, right? So like Sarah and I would like telepathically do stuff. And then like with Dylan and I, it's very like, it'll be like, wait, hold on. This person like literally is just, it'll be like a weird like chessboard where everybody's connected and everything at the exact moment too. It's always like the exact moment.
It's like cross-dimensional.
But you and I at the exact moment will have the exact same thought. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
Full conversations. Yeah.
It's like the grid like snaps into place. All of a sudden we're like, whoa, you weren't just there, but you're there now. And
you're like on the other side of the same place, but in totally different places. I'm telling you, I'm seeing like dimensions align at one moment and you can see through them and see each other. And you're on the same field.
Like,
yeah, because I would like, when he was out there, I was literally just like, all right, here I am, Dylan. Putting
you do
myself
that a lot without realizing it too.
Yeah. I was pushing my manifesting generator energy that way. Like,
well, I did bring everyone that, you know, connected with me on this show and has written to me on Instagram, like a good amount of people. Like I was saying, and I brought all of our energies and our names and our just intentions to Machu Picchu with me, which is where I got this crystal. And I, on the day of the new moon in Libra, it was a new moon in Libra, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the 18th gene key, which goes really deep into how we're conditioned to think and to get conditioned to think about who we are as an identity, which rests upon the people that came before us. So it's inherently flawed. I kind of took that intention of us being all able to clear the lack of integrity that perhaps maybe corrupted the way that we were brought up, even if it's in a small way, that didn't give us that full chance to become that full adult, that full sovereign being that can completely be in ownership of its field, its life, its reality, its thoughts, its feelings, etc. And just give us that extra pulse of healing energy from this amazing vortex of Machu Picchu at this pivotal moment in a new moon, in a gene key that's corresponding to part of your genetic code that goes deep into how, we form our minds based on the past. So I hope everyone felt that boost, got that little extra clearing, and it was like, it's part of what I feel things like this show are becoming, which is a way for us to connect on the heart field. Because as we know from institutes like Heart Math, the heart's electromagnetic field is thousands of times more powerful than the brain. And if we're going to be in conscious community, we might as well be using these tools like social media to form these frequencies that we're all sharing in, that we're all building together. That's how we create change. So that was all there.
I was going to say that when we were just having this talk right before you went into your experiences there, I was feeling like, I think the reason why us three have all these experiences is just because we form community. Like, this is going to be that's all that matters now, I feel. Like, I don't think sure, there's a lot of things that matter in life, but I feel like the root right now is showing up, having people, community, friends, having each other's backs, doing this work together. And that's why I feel that you're right, Dylan, bringing this, no matter what, everybody's involved in it too.
I feel like I see this threading system underneath, and we're all being like woven together, and there's this tethering of light that's anchoring, and it's creating an actual like root system, the way that roots do, and it's going deeper and deeper into the core and just like connecting so strongly, and things that aren't strong enough to go that deep are just like breaking and snapping off. So it's like just like a root system being replenished or like reset.
Yeah, did you watch the OA?
Yeah.
When she gets pulled down into the house and into the trees in that one episode, and all the roots?
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm so bad at this stuff. No.
Oh, man.
And the tree is like this consciousness.
And how through the whole earth, like through the whole universe, like even like, to bring up the brain in the way that is, but everything, the strings, how it's all connected, everything. And then, anyway, it's true. And I think that there is a reboot going through the system, but it's also at the same time also a new system loading too. So it's almost just like a double whammy. It's a complete reset.
I think as we I think a lot of people, what I've noticed is that a lot of people are really stepping up, or they're being pushed up in a sense, into living in really clear connection with their truth and their alignment. And even when it's flying in the face of maybe how their life has been going for a long time, it is just snapping off these old connections that we have into different energy grids. And I think along with that, as we deepen and strengthen these connections, it's like an exponential boost to our frequency. So the greater the web, the greater the network of roots, the more, quickly and miraculously it may seem that we're able to really influence our world in a new, more conscious kind of hive mind, but in the most positive sense, in the most healing sense way. And I think we should experiment with this.
Well, I think we have been, and I think that a big part of this too is that the more that you see people step up, or it's in yourself you're stepping up, fears are going away quicker, and things that you were afraid of are going away fast. Like there's not even a moment of watching it go away; it just is gone.
Yeah,
once you decide, once you make the move.
Once you decide and you step into it, and it's just choices.
Because there's a part of us that's been waiting for us. Like spiritually, there's a spiritual essence that's ahead of us, and it's been waiting. We've actually been doing this work on our consciousness. That's like Uranus direct, right? And then when in retrograde, it's like, all right, new consciousness set, catch up, and you like meet it, and it's this like right before you meet it is all this resistance because it's that change, and then you step into it and you're like, oh, like it's so good.
It's a womb waiting for us where we're thrown out of the womb when we come in here, and so we're the people, and all of us, I think, have a fear of going into intimacy, of going back into trusting to go back into some sort of womb.
We talked about this weekend.
See, it's already happening.
Yes.
I told you guys.
We talked about this.
Oh man, see, I'm getting the visuals like bleep bleep, and then I just say it. But yeah, no, I think that's and intimacy is a big deal, especially now that we got all the Scorpio stuff going on, Venus and Mercury. I'm happy about these two here because we did a lot of work for the last decade in Scorpio. Like, so it's kind of like.
Yeah,
Change is a good thing, and ownership of knowing. I think the most beautiful part of Scorpio is there's a emotional / but it's really not. It's the most fixed emotional sign. So it's this intuitive, just I know this is what it is, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna commit. And when you do, it just
flourishes.
It flourishes. It's an explosion of beauty, of life. But then there's that other side of commitment when you choose not a road. I like how you brought how the connections are going apart, right? Like it can feel like it's like this huge detachment, but it reminds me of like if you take a spaceship and they have to let go of like the rockets that they did, and how it seems like that would be a big thing. They just go. Psst. They just
and it's like
float
the weight,
away. Yeah,
the extra weight.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening is there's this purification process almost in relationship where there's, it's time to like go in, and this mutual reception with Mars and Venus is like, let's make sure we're with the right people who are ready to really go in. Like if you're going in one-sided on a relationship right now, you are so drained, you are so lost in confusion. There's like all this intense emotion. That's the shadow side of going in when it's not a two-sided going in, you know?
Yeah.
Like you gotta in relationships anyways, or even in life when you were talking about just now, you were like, there's once you step into it, it's fine. Like all the fears drop away. It's like that. If you go all in and you really go all in.
There's been a lot of the one-sided thing going on. That's how you know the connection's not working. But I think you have to kind of go through the process too. You just can't be like, well, it's not, right away. It doesn't feel like it. Like, I think it's kind of like you have to see it a couple times and then go, okay, yeah, confirmation.
I think love is such a high frequency force. And at the same time, a lot of people in today's world are approaching finding love and preaching in a kind of somewhat low frequency way, in a very like maybe mechanical or overly left brain way of kind of just sorting through things and hoping for the best. It's like love is a force that comes into your life that it's unmistakable. And so in my studies with human design, we really look at, okay, how did someone enter into that situation? And how did that determine how that situation went? So I think a lot of people have to be honest with themselves. How are you entering into love? Are you truly connecting to it as a universal force that is beyond just the mind? It's beyond everything. It's also a part of everything. Are you approaching it in a way that's very mechanical? And if that's the case, maybe it's time to change the values around how you approach love to see a different outcome. Maybe it's not the other person, maybe it's not you, maybe it's not even like woundings or issues. Maybe it's just the approach to finding that force in your life and then connecting to it with a lot of compassion and reverence as your greatest teacher.
Wait, did you say mechanical? You said mechanical. Yeah, and I also see mechanical as finite. Like, are you treating it as a form that's finite and something that's exchanging?
Right.
Because it's not a trade value system. It's an infinite essence. It's like it's not something we have to give. We just share it. It's there whether we choose to engage in the process of sharing it or not. It's still there. It doesn't like go away.
You can't put it away.
You can't put it away. That's where the mind... Yes, yeah.
So in human design, Dylan, when you look at somebody's chart, there's like, people can have like I guess, a lot of energy on like a left side, but really that would be like a right. You know how they have the right arrow, kind of like right?
There's lots of lefts and rights.
Right,
And
there's lots of
sometimes they're
lefts
kind
and
of
rights.
flipped. So.
But I was listening to an old recording of, what's his name? Ra. And he was saying in the future, it's like a lot of the children that are going to be born, I think around the 2027 time that he was talking about too, are going to be like all right. Like all rights. Where it's like, all you got to do is just kind of just show up and not think anymore. Like just passive brain. Like, why are you thinking about it? And he was going, it blew my mind because I was starting to think like, I feel that this is the preparation where if we kind of go way more in the right, which is not so intellectual, right? Because left is much more intellectual in the human design.
It's more logical.
Logical. And right is much more going with the universal
Abstract.
flow. Abstract.
Feminine.
Then I feel that,
Receptive.
I think love, if we're going to mix relationship romantically, since it's a big time with Libra and Mars here and Venus and mutual reception and Scorpio, like it's pretty hot and I'm full moon in Aries with a trine to Jupiter but square Pluto. Wow.
Stuff's happening.
It's just wow. It's a big full moon. All I'm saying is that I feel that right now, I think approaching the situation's all right is kind of like the best way to go about it. It's not mechanical, right? Right?
Absolutely. It's because when we talk about the right in terms of how Ra has outlined our variable and how we relate as a being to how our brain and our body and our cognition and our awareness all function uniquely. We have the left brain, the logical solutions, patterns, equations, shared information that serves the collective. And then with the right, we have a kind of awareness that doesn't have an agenda. It's just is. And it's just very embodied. And it's actually not is it just being there embodied, it's taking in everything around it. So whereas the left is very much the like laser focus, we're pointing at something,
Linear.
we're understanding something. The right is just taking it all in. And it has no agenda. So it's just storing. It's just storing all the information that it's taking in from all around it. And then it becomes a resource in this web that's forming. So that person that's all right in their design may seem like they're incompetent to most people. But when they're around the right people that can draw on the resource that they are in the right way, they become the genius, the savant, the person that's displaying like the ability to sketch a whole city from just flying over it in a helicopter. Like I've seen videos like that. So we're looking more at this like tremendous cognitive potential that just doesn't function in the way that we're used to. But yeah, it's not like rocket science to get over there.
He was saying that people with all rights are like, you already have all the information. Like you don't need to go to like some long time school and know the information, know it. Like when you're called to it, it'll just pull out of you and you'll be the resource of that information. And then he even said that like, when relationships kind of come in and if they start projecting, like it's actually not you, it's them. Like it's like he really brought that one up really intensely too. I'll send you the MP3. It's like
that's
an hour
been coming
long.
up a lot. The projection. I think that's like the Scorpio season, Mercury retrograde name of the game. Like I think it's going to be projection and transference and this just watching like what lane are we like channeled into.
It's
where
totally Mars Chiron opposition too. Like that was building and now we're in right now. And
Yeah.
I love because Dylan brought up the best way of Chiron and Aries is just this little like, I forgot what it was, but it was just.
I forgot too.
It was this little just, just this person just not just fighting in a small form. Like, I don't know. It reminds me of like Gulliver's Travels and like the little, I've got to go. Like,
Like I was at Whole Foods earlier with my friend Ashley. Who doesn't watch this, even though she should. And there was this guy at the Whole Foods bar.
We were at Whole Foods today.
Yeah, so the Whole Foods bar I'm talking
no one
about.
told me, man.
But we weren't there together. And Cancer Rising. And the guy was just being so loud. And he was a little guy who was like really buff. And you could just tell like he needed all those eyes on him in the Whole Foods bar to like fill him up tonight. And that is like so Chiron.
He wasn't getting food to fill him up?
Well, he was getting beer, but he was getting like,
beer.
But
He's being loud.
Isn't that somewhat of a projection, even that? Like, to see that and then to make that assumption when you don't really know.
could be.
I mean, I think that's what we have to be mindful of right now is like, who cares, you know? And like, why are we, I don't know, like psychoanalyzing almost, you know, our environment. Like, I think I've just noticed that it's so available right now. And then I'm just like, wait, do I really want to like know that? Like investigate that or
I think Mercury
about
and
that?
Scorpio is making us all Dick Tracy's without us even
What's a
being
Dick Tracy?
A detective.
a detective.
Yeah. I keep catching myself. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want to go down this rabbit hole journey, pull myself back out. Like, you know, you're pulling the anchor up. You're like, let's toss that anchor somewhere else, a different
Well,
deep end.
it's almost
Right.
like X-ray goggles are on right now.
Oh,
So, I mean, he just can't. I mean, I want to say I agree with both things completely. I think Sarah's right. I think all of us are overanalyzing things. But then I also think when you're at peace with yourself, just go into Whole Foods you're not going there to gain attention. You're going there to just get food and enjoy your time with your friend. And it's not like you're going there to go create events to pull other people's energy
Verify
to
my
define
identity in public.
the individual self
yes.
through
Yes. There is like it's almost like an energetic vampirish
Yeah.
energy that's like, it's like attention please, like neon signs. And I think this is where, when you know that's what it is, how do we respond to it? I think that's where there's this transformative, transmuted alchemization available. And it's like, okay, first you look at that in X-ray vision, you see the fear, you see the presentation of what's happening. But then like, can you look beyond that? Like, that's an even deeper psychic power to be like, what drives that fear? And can I see the humanity driving that? And then, unless somebody's causing some kind of actual harm where we need to be like, like stop, then it's kind of like having compassion for it, you know, and just seeing it. And I don't know. I just think that there's something about like, we're ready to do things like that. Like, and if we're not ready to do that, that's an opportunity to look in and just say, okay, like I want to challenge myself to learn how to do that so that I can be a force, like you're saying, like a force right now to really show up and create these networks. And every situation like this is happening more and more and more. It's like back to back to back. And it's like initiating.
Yeah.
If you think
We're
of it
in
like that.
constant initiation now. In case anybody wasn't aware of that.
I said tonight that I think this initiation goes longer in the future than people realize, as far as what we're initiating for now is for things that go way far in the future. Like I used an example of like discernment is a big part of this week.
You were saying that.
And I felt that the discernment is because we're going to be in a place, whether you want to believe that AI will exist or not, it will. And we will at one time have to be like, are you really a human or not? Like, there'll be a point to where it'll be like discernment and the things we're learning now are actually going to go towards things that we can't even fathom right now. Like, there's a training going on that's actually beyond our comprehension.
Whoa.
That's what my download was tonight.
And the choices to be made in those situations are still very ordinary, and I think we need to keep ourselves really grounded, especially when we're in the training simulation, as you say, because if we get too blown out of proportion with who we think we are, what we think we're training for, we're again just lost in the mind and we're lost in spiritual ego.
I agree.
So with the guy at Whole Foods, what did I do? What did I ultimately do? Well, I was with a 4 parts right friend, so she's very receptive and it was really grating for her. But I did nothing. I was just like, "Aw." That's what I heard come out of me, and I was like, wow, I felt like sympathy for him instead of judgment. Good job, Dylan. So I think we need to you can't force yourself to get there, though. You can't just force yourself to be compassionate. You just have to you can create space for that to arise for you. But I don't think, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, well, the way that I go about this myself, because like I have to do this sometimes, like it's like go through rounds, you know, boxing rounds, is I just ask myself to be willing to notice when there's something that takes my attention in a way that's like that. Like I just notice, and I'm like, I'm just gonna be willing to see if I do this. And once it's like, you know, when you're like, look for a blue car, all you see is blue cars.
Yeah.
So you invite it in, and you're like, all right, game on. And then you're like, oh wow, okay. And then I look at myself, I'm like, what about that was?
We should play the drum bopping
this is my
now.
life.
I was going to say this, that I feel like what Dylan said, in many ways, because it's with love, it's with compassion, and it's not like he feels sorry for them, but he just feels like more like, I think it's more of a sense of like, oh, like, I see what you're trying to get, and I wish you the best of luck with that one. But in many ways, by him energetically doing that, it might actually send a force of alignment back to that guy.
It totally does.
Right? To where he's
everyone
like
there.
not feeling it, to where he actually looks at himself and goes, what am I doing right now?
So what's so interesting was after, like, he came into my awareness and we had this little contemplation of his energy, and then he just, like, 3 minutes later, just excused himself and said goodbye to everyone at the bar and just hugged them all and then walked out.
So I'm going to bring up something that's going on right now in the world. Like, right? So Trump's getting impeached inquiry, but it's almost like both sides of that are fighting so much right now that it's like they're just feeding each other. Like rabid dogs on...
What are you feeding?
Right?
Like, what are you feeding with your attention?
Imagine if, like, they didn't give Trump the attention or the media attention. So then he was, like, screaming from the White House, literally, with, like, a horn, like, hey!
Right.
And
nobody can hear.
Right?
Nobody can.
And then if
nobody
it was
listens
the same
to it.
for the other side, too, because they're the ones, they're both feeding each other and like it. And then it's creating a bunch of noise that people are buying into. And that's been my thing lately, is that people are getting pulled into these energy sources that are being loud, that are being really distracting. And I think that it is about acknowledging it and being like, okay, and then kind of moving on and like, wish you all the best. And then moving towards times like these in community.
Right, because you're using your discernment. You're unplugging your conscious participation in something that you know you don't want to see more of, and then you're reallocating that same energy where you do want to see it.
Yes. Reallocation of attention and energy and priorities, and just like, yes. And that's where I think it does come full circle to your community being so important, because who you surround yourself with right now is so vital.
Everything.
It's everything. And so, yeah, just being really mindful of that, investing in support, investing in the mirrors, because mirrors are everywhere right now. And you get to choose your mirrors, like, to some extent. Even your experiences, your day-to-day hobbies, your routines, you're participating in choosing your environment, you know? And like, how are you where are you choosing to go? Why are you choosing to go there? How are you choosing, you know, to participate with the cashier at the grocery store? Like, are you choosing... there's a lot of power there. And I think who we surround ourselves with right now is really either supportive or potentially really detrimental. Yeah. But either way, you're going to grow a lot. Either way, right now, you're going to grow a lot. So if you're like, I'm going to grow through relationships that are challenging, just own it. Like, own that that's what you're doing.
Of course, but there comes this point where I think Pluto, that went direct in Capricorn, was like, it's just, there's no more time. Right? There's just no more time. Pluto and Saturn are meeting up in January. Like, and they both are direct, so that means they're closing an old cycle and beginning a new one right now. And there's no more time. So there's no more time to just waste, I think, anymore.
An illusion.
Illusion, or just, especially when it comes to relationships, it's like, you could find somebody who's great as a friend, a lover, or whatever, but, you know, you have to be discerning, which sucks. It sucks. But this is what Uranus and Taurus is asking for, is like, we are not going to move forward unless the quality's there, unless the value systems are there. And Uranus will just tear down anything that is not of like holding true value or true, you know, like real earthly fixed positive, growing support. Like if it's
Genuine.
the opposite, which
It's
a lot of this
genuine.
Venus and Scorpio might be, that's sucking or trying to take and putting a facade up, that it's like, it kind of reminds me when I go to the fair and I try to go on like a funhouse ride or something, and then you think it's going to be fun, you know, it's like, really, they duct taped this thing and did it, you know what I mean? And it's like, this thing's like just not even a ride. They get away with this.
Your moon in Taurus is so loud when you say that.
I know, but it's important though, because the moon is exalted in Taurus, because there is feelings and there is community right now that is important, and it's important to be around people that are in that good space and are supporting and are not causing sucking of energy or distracting or causing drama, or, I'll be honest, losing themselves in kind of the illusion of that I don't want to face what I'm got to grow in, and I'm just going to go have a party of a time right now and not focus on what's really happening in the world as far as inner, outer, beyond, and connected. And just kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to say fuck it.
We're going to the underworld. You better pick the
Welcome
people
to the underworld.
that are gonna get you through it. Not that they're doing it for you, but like if you're picking teams and you're going through the underworld game show,
Oh my God, yes!
you want to pick somebody that's going to make you win
Yes.
and come out the other side stronger, not try to deny that they're in the underworld halfway through, and then you're on your own.
I
You
know.
know? So
Craig, are you digging this or what? Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's so. My Mars and Aries got overexcited for sure when I said yes, pick your teams. But yeah, that's like
Well, it's funny you
such a
said game
good-
show, because last week you and I said it was like the game show of like turning a chess match into what's like make a millionaire, and is it you know, it was like
Yeah.
everything's been like, do I do this, or you know.
Yeah, but like a funny game show. I feel like this would be like a really good. Fun, like, well, anyways, my team.
It's a little
will
bit,
have
yeah.
humor on it. I don't know.
Well, I was on a bunch of dating shows when I was younger on MTV, and one of them was Next, when I went on a Next bus, and like the person can choose
dear.
Next.
And the funnier that show was, the better it was.
Correct.
Like the more,
But I thought it was beautiful because it's like very discerning show. Somebody walks off, if they don't like the energy, next, I got 4 other choices. And I could go as long as I want, even though I was the one on the bus. I did win, by the way. She did pick me. Just got to put that out. So I guess my North Node and Gemini trickster stuff or whatever you guys were talking about does work. But, but what was that? Tricking. But I was going to say that this is like where Uranus, suppose Venus, is a little bit like next. Okay. Turnstile. Uranus to me is like a turnstile, like, you know.
Yes. Okay, wait. I was also thinking about how Uranus is exalted in Scorpio,
Yeah.
and Venus is at home in Taurus. So again, there's a mutual reception happening. And the goddess in Scorpio, this is her first time back since she went through her retrograde last year. So there's like,
And opposed Uranus and Taurus.
yeah, and
last year.
she's like really been through it, you know, and she's back. She's not going through anything right now, and she's got all this mutual reception from the collective.
Well, she has the
highest
nodes on her
consciousness.
side too.
Yeah, and she's got the nodes on her side. Like,
Last
I'm
year
just like,
was
welcome to the
nodal,
goddess's
it was a
castle.
cross. It was a cross that was created with Uranus and Venus at Taurus 0, Scorpio 0, and the nodes were at 0 Leo and 0 Aquarius. There was a fixed cross with that. And so tonight I said everybody is there's gonna be creepy crawlers popping back up from October and November of last year, when people were trying to fix things and thinking that things were going to be okay and shading them over. That's total Venus and Scorpio. You like shade over in retrograde like things like, no, it's okay. Anything of that's coming back, like, no.
I just think sometimes love says no.
Yeah.
That's
In order
that's been
to
a big
bring the
theme.
Jupiter awesome sun. This is the last sun Jupiter in Sag. Positive aspect this week. with a full moon.
And it's all about Venus still,
Yeah.
which is like, I think for me too, I was watching your Deep Love Tarot show last night, and I already kind of said this, but I was listening as if it was talking about the masculine and feminine counterparts within myself as just like the two parts dating each other. And I was like,
Manifester. You gonna manifest your masculine side to date yourself? It could happen.
Yeah. So like,
It
well,
could
I think
happen.
you have to be in right relationship fully within yourself. And there's totally this inner battle going on. If we're not mindful, it plays out externally. But if you don't have a counterpart to play things out externally, that's still happening internally unless you're fully integrated.
Yeah.
And I think that we have the potential to be in union and to be integrated more often than not. But I think we're becoming, at least for me, I'm like, I can really tell like who's talking and when they're not getting along, because there's this push-pull. It's like push-pull and energy of taking action and going forward and moving. And then this push-pull and this rest and needing to take care of my body and nourish. And it's like almost all or nothing in one direction or the other if
Right.
they aren't talking, if they're combative. And then there's this rebellion and there's this like, so it's just, that's happening all the time within us, and not in like a schizophrenic way, but in a like powerful way. If we're honoring it.
we're finding that rhythm instead of it being a push, pull, we're just finding the flow that can allow it to be more sometimes and even balance sometimes. And, it's all about that, the dance, the extremes. And
There's a lot of extremes this full moon, though.
full moon. Oh yeah,
That's why I think it's important to discern. And I think Aries, I think there's a lot of mirrors with the full moon in Aries, with the sun in Libra, with the Mars in Libra. Like, and this moon is like got has its back. Exactly. But everywhere else it's not really got, right? It's got the sun, right? Aries is where the sun's exalted. So it's like, oh gosh. And then it's like Mars, that's my planet. Oh wait, it's in Libra. And then, Chiron's here, but it has Jupiter. And then, Pluto squaring me?
I just think
That's a lot of harsh energy on that full moon. But Jupiter is big enough and dignified enough. The only dignified position and aspect that's going to be able to handle all that somehow. So it's not going to be like a major blow.
I think it's just it just requires, yes, I think it potentially has that. And I think there's an invitation to like use Jupiter and Sag to take this meta perspective. And you have Venus and Mercury and Scorpio to also go deep, and you just like open the field in this way. It's like, all right, but like, how do I change the game plan? Because like I still have all the right players and I still have the capacity to make the right moves and to win the game, but it's like I got to change the whole way I'm approaching this game. I got to like come at it a different way. It's not about going fast, hard alone, Mars and Aries, like the power's not there. It's about like taking a step back, working with the people around you, like having this team, having this collaborative effort, and just looking farther along. And where does inaction give me actually a step ahead? Where does actually choosing to be silent and listen give me the information I need to make a different move? So I just think it's like, all that's possible. And what if we just invite it in and work with it in a way that's like, it's destined and created and all planned to be on our side. Like the universe isn't like, you're in a game plan and fuck you, hope you figure it out, but if you don't, fuck you. It's like, no, this is a loving universe, right?
It is.
So then why don't we just like have more fun playing the game on the universe's terms?
I agree with you. Hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on After Dark.
It's so exciting that the spiritual community is on the rise, but finding a spiritual network that's just as exciting is daunting. I mean, all this old regurgitated content from 10 years ago and old footage, and then of course you've got the light and fluffy stuff out there that just makes for a good meme and just makes you feel like, okay, and get left with that depth, that connection. And that's what High Vibe TV is all about, raising the vibration with exclusive daily, weekly, curated content with our in-house studios, all about astrology, tarot, intuition, doing curated talk shows about art, about going even deeper into the universe, aliens. We talk about it all. Connecting with your guides, human design, whatever is new and cutting edge and part of this new age, it's all on here on highvibe.tv. Check us out on our apps on iOS, Android, Roku, and we're on Apple TV. Or go to highvibe.tv. We have live shows. We connect with our audience. It's all about the community. Raise your vibration now. Check us out, highvibe.tv.
How do you do?
Welcome back to After Dark, and we are here with Sarah and Dylan, and we're going deep, especially this week, full moon. We're talking about everything, experiences, community, and I think that Sarah had left off with a really good notion too. Of I like the notion of there's something about an inaction creating action.
Well, I just overall it's the trickster medicine. I think right now it's just about how we participate and how we approach the game plan. And if we work with the universe, we know all the transits, so let's work with them. And I just think that they all are giving us lots of clues, like the game of Clue,
Right. I think right now saying no is with Jupiter will open up a whole new doorway of boxes and now behind door number 5,100.
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. Because there is so much Jupiter this week.
It's back to what Dylan was saying, though. If we approach things from this heart-centered way, where we're really approaching them in this way, where you're just with the right brain. You're talking about the heart-centered way and the right brain, how it's you're taking in all this information, but you're really just how did you say? You said it better.
I would say that we're taking in all the information, yet we're not conscious of all that we're taking in. So it is really important that we focus it in a really present manner.
Yes.
To be our guiding voice, our guiding sensation, our guiding feeling, whatever that is and how it manifests for you. But yeah, it's about trusting that 0 point field around you that contains your consciousness over perhaps the logical mind and what its
And
strategies are.
Yes, strategizing, pre-planning, predetermining, that doesn't actually help you because you come with all of these supplies and then you're distracted to not even use the resources that are already there waiting for you. You can't see them because you have all these bags you set down of your strategies and plans and premeditated thoughts.
I'm really seeing Hercules with this Aries full moon. And I know that the gene key / human design, it's in gate 51, which is in the heart. And that's the individual will. So the willpower to stay true to me, to my existence, to the spirit of my consciousness. So it's actually a gate of shock. It's a gate of being able to suddenly turn it all around and go for it or go away from it. To even shut it off, really suddenly, to maybe shock people in order to stay true to your frequency or to what is in your heart. So it's going to activate our heart consciousness on an individual level, and it's in the 6th line. So it does have this overview kind of spirit to it, where it's not just on the 1st line, ground floor, banging into things, or 3rd line. It's looking at the whole bigger picture, and it's saying, how can I critically approach this situation in a way that benefits everyone? Maybe not just Jupiter, who's got my back. Maybe not just Venus and Mercury, who maybe Jupiter has told me are the villains in this dungeon, but actually they have the magic spell that will help me defeat the true villain, which is, it can go on and on mythologically, but I feel like we're all Hercules. We've got a Medusa to slay, but I think it's really important that we know everything behind that story, because if you really look at the story of Medusa, she's not this evil, just evil for evil's sake thing. She's a grieving entity herself that's caused her to take these actions on certain people and turn them to stone or whatever. So she
has really pretty hair too.
Yeah.
Well, and even
Knowledge.
that is potentially a rewrite of the myth too, that she that she was in grieving and then casting everyone to stone in rage. It's that's still somewhat potentially rewritten. What if that's actually not why she was doing that or what she was doing it for? I feel like we're getting this opportunity to rewrite the stories and the myths at the roots and to really collaborate with the true archetypes, the true archetypal potentials, and to really come back It's like a coming back, all the way back to the origin, which is everything's rooted in that love frequency, and not in this like fluffy, everything's rooted in love way. No, like real, deeper human love, you know?
Yeah, I like how you used Hercules, because I was saying tonight I was channeling Thor without his hammer. But then actually I got down to the bottom of it, and it was really Roger Rabbit. And like, well, how did he get Jessica Rabbit?
Because he's funny.
Exactly.
Humor is the answer.
And like everybody in all of Roger Rabbit, the movie, is like trying to get Jessica Rabbit by the opposite. Like, they're not funny. They're like trying to,
they're cool.
like, yeah. And like, he's just himself, and he's just his odd, quirky self, but he's funny. And he's like, remember whenever he sees her, he goes, wee, 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 and hearts all over him, and just love, because he's also full of love.
He's transparent. He's genuine, and he's transparent with, and it doesn't matter if it was funny or what it was, but because it's so genuine.
Exactly. And that's why I got Thor, because I'm like, you'd think, and I even showed tonight the pictures of both of them. I'm like we've been trained in society subconsciously to think somebody like Thor would be good with Jessica Rabbit, because the way she looks and how she knows her sacred feminine and beauty and sexuality, and like you get Roger Rabbit, like, no, you should have like Thor, and because women like are like, oh my gosh, his hair, and he has this thing, and it's like, it's probably not going to be the ultimate match.
Right. I mean, he hangs out with a hammer like, a lot. Like he's always going to have that hammer around. Like, do you just...
Right. And he relies on it. And I think one of the last movies, you know, of the Thor movies is like he loses the hammer, and he kind of doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, I watched the Avengers this last weekend, and he got his hammer back. Spoiler alert.
Of course he gets it back. But I'm just saying that, like, that I think that Chiron here and everything is like, maybe the hammer is not your strong suit.
Not for Venus and Scorpio.
Right. And I think that, but I think people kind of lead with, we'll use the example of the Whole Foods guy again. Like, he leads with that, his loud talking and acting like, I mean, come on. I'm just going to be real. Scorpio, like, of all the bars to try and be cool at, Whole Foods.
Maybe his soulmate is there, though.
But like, I'm from the club scene, been in that a long time. The last place that you're going to try and impress people and try and be an ego kind of like show off is at Whole Foods.
What did you just say, Sarah, in response to that?
I said that I think there's somebody for everybody, and you never know. Whole Foods might have the woman who is looking for that.
Yeah, maybe she's just trying to finally get healthy.
We don't even know what he's into.
And she's been waiting for that, and he's there. I don't know.
We don't know. And it might be a what is it? The Roger Rabbit?
Like pretty
what if it's like Roger Rabbit, though? And what if like the hottest hippie chick in Whole Foods is just like, hey... I don't think it matters.
There's just so much love.
Or it's like Pretty Woman, and the whole idea of the lawyer and with the prostitute that he tries to make into a pretty woman.
Yeah.
That's before your time.
No, I do know that movie. I know that one.
Okay.
I got really excited.
I'm just like, you know, I use movies
I do know that one.
But I think that there's this beautiful love aspect here, but I think that there's a lot of common values that have to be there too in physical, spiritual form. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that things can look really good on the emotional level, but then it's kind of like,
trust your feelings.
Yeah, exactly. That your sacral knows better than anything right now.
Or your heart, you know.
Together.
I think that with Venus in Scorpio, though, like the sacral can be very
root centered.
Yeah, just like in love with its own perhaps power or influence in the moment. So I wouldn't advise to listen to your sacral without a couple grains of salt or that heart connection, because I feel like Venus Scorpio can be like, just do it. It's like, whoops.
Yeah, Uranus there is the banana peel that's like, whoop, oh gosh.
Yeah.
I like Venus and Scorpio. I was saying earlier that I was thinking today was kind of a weird day energetically. It was just like, woke up, felt really out of it today. And then later I was like, oh, I just need to shift and adjust to the shift, to Venus moving into Scorpio. And I totally changed the way I was channeling that. And it was so much better. Like, I was like, oh, it's just you're just visiting a different house. Like, pleasure comes in different ways right now.
Yeah.
And so when you tune into that, it's actually really fun.
Well, I think it's because Venus, of course, it's Libra ruled. So on the backside of that is Virgo, where it's at fall, and then it comes in Scorpio detriment. So it's surrounded by two houses that are, like a little bit. So when she leaves, she kind of goes, let me get in here. And then last year, exactly where Venus is right now, had the opposition to Uranus, in a retrograde. So there's a lot of weird karmic stuff from this exact same time last year, because last year it was this week in October that Venus went retrograde. So there is something to say about this Venus entered in a little do I put my full feet in the pool? Well, it's Scorpio, I have to. Okay.
And then deep dive.
And then just
What was that?
Well, I think that
It was good.
this is a beautiful movie that's it's a pretty intense movie that's gonna be coming up here, and I think that we're all just trying to find who to sit next to on this movie, and the emotional stuff's there, and we got to follow our feelings, and then there's also a physical aspect of it's got to have its sensuality and its senses in the right place. This Uranus and Taurus is not going to just allow Venus to just get away with scorpionic stuff only. There is a physical reality and a quality of things too. And to make sure that it stays with moving forward into a better place of life with the deeper emotional connection than just a deep emotional connection and not go anywhere. It just be
lust.
Quick. Yeah.
That's staying in the second chakra, in the sacral, sexual.
And I think that's where the throat comes in, right? And also being not afraid to kind of because actually I think people can kind of back away by what you own in your values and own that and show that. And if they feel I don't know if I'm ready for that, it'll be kind of apparent of where the disconnection is starting to become clear.
Yeah.
But there still has to be clear communication in those instances, because it might be obvious, but we were talking about having really mindful, conscious conclusions to things, I think is really important for us energetically, to even if it's oh yeah, well he caught my vibe and yeah, he knew it wasn't going to work anymore. It's also
did you say that?
Yeah, exactly. Did you say that?
Let him know,
because that's a disservice to ourselves if we're leaving
open-ended
things open-ended, and
it's not really weird. And it's how we're able to stay stuck in delusion, if we're in delusion, is by not actually addressing or facing the potential dissonance or conflict. It's that's a way out. That's an escape mechanism.
Way to bypass.
It's a bypass. Yeah. So if you're really clear and you're you're really sincere about, even if the connection's over, it's you're still you're not leaving things with vengeance or leaving things with bitterness. I think that's really a potential route right now, or a potential for us to see, where is my temptation to do that coming up, and can I just change my mode
or causing attention about it that's unnecessary, reacting or trying to make it over. Venus and Scorpio is dramatic.
Being dramatic.
Yeah, being dramatic, or throwing up Instagram stories of blah blah blah.
Or that, just reinforcing that belief that all endings have to be this negative, traumatic, tragic thing. It's how about we just embrace bringing our consciousness to that? Let's have conscious, loving endings. Let's say goodbye with love.
Let's have acceptance.
That's the seed of your next relationship, is the ending of your last one. Treat it well.
Someone said those exact words in a conversation with me today.
Wow.
So that's true.
I want to get your guys' opinion. I guess next week they're going to roll out on Instagram getting rid of showing who you follow, so you won't be able to see who somebody follows.
Who cares?
Well,
yeah,
right. But I think that it's an interesting scorpionic thing of like, okay, let's not reveal who you follow anymore, so
I like
other people
that.
can see that. And one of my friends was like, yeah, because it causes fights in relationships a lot, right? Like, you just follow that
I
person.
think they're doing it to
You
make
do
it
the-
seem more important, which it's not. So keep that in mind.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, they are throwing out things that people maybe don't want to lose on purpose to have them more attached to it.
Exactly.
Like, oh my gosh, look at what is going to be this experience and feeling with not being able to see who my boyfriend's following.
It's just going to create more of that like speculative anxiety, which fuels people's addiction to those kind of things.
Exactly. Then they're going to start looking in other ways, like.
That's been a thing I've been noticing about social media, is like being very mindful about what's taking us in, and just, I like turning off notifications. I think right now there is that kind of psychic drain, that vampirish energy, and that could be taken either way. Like, that could be.
I put my phone in black and white. I suggest everyone do it if they feel called, because that way it like activates fewer centers in your brain, and it's just less of a pull on your consciousness. You can do it in the general settings and accessibility.
I would love to just get a video of Dylan just like going through how to go through your phone.
It would be an ASMR, like.
Yeah, you could do a good ASMR. But I think that this is definitely not an ASMR time.
Okay, sorry, that was a bad idea.
No. I'm saying, like, if we think of it collectively, like if you try and, you know, and so
we're not soothing ourselves,
you know,
to sleep
like
right now.
But I think with Mercury sextile Saturn, which is going to happen 3 times, because Mercury is now entering shadow this week, and it will then sextile Saturn at the end of during the full moon, and then it's going to come back in retrograde and sextile Saturn again, and then come direct and sextile Saturn again. There's going to be a lot about this communication element that's going to be very grounded, and it's going to have some sort of like, let's like come from a plan, let's start to see long term. But to some people, that they might think that that's not exciting or fun, or the thrill is gone. But I think it's like the thrill can actually be in creating beautiful plans or creating beautiful visions for the future.
I see it as like I see it as like I'm seeing so many cool things while you're saying this. I see it as a reprogramming, deeper integration, where it's like the connection, the synapse connects at the sextile, and Saturn just went direct. Like, we just got all this like programming update, and then they sextile once, and it's like the synapse is created, and they sextile again, and it goes even deeper into the subconscious in this like scorpionic terrain,
retrograde in the underworld,
and then it goes, and then it comes back, and it does it again, and it's like a completely cleared out on the deepest levels of our psyche system on the new update of where Saturn.
And it's going to have Pluto with the same aspects too, 3 times.
That's pretty dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say too, Mercury Saturn sextile feels like, I was thinking of Dylan's comment on emotional beings, how like half the planet's emotionally defined, and how we have to learn how to like ride the waves of the emotional experience to get to clarity. How it's not like the clarity's not in the moment, and that feels like a potential good invitation for how to work with this energy, is to ride that out, because there might be a layer of emotion, and then a way deeper one, and then a way deeper one, and then you're like, oh.
I've been noticing a lot of that though, is like having to see the layers of emotional situations, and then it's not even patience, but it's like, instead of just staying on one level and only wanting to see that, being willing to be like, okay, let me see a little bit deeper and deeper. Oh, wait, yeah, now, okay, I see it.
It feels like a like lightening up though, is how it's, at least for me, it's actually working versus a going in and like an analyzing. It's more like as I step back from it and I allow it to like float, I'm like, I'm not like even being patient. I'm just like, all right, it's just like there. And then if I don't touch it too much, it leaves all this space for the truth to like reveal another layer of itself to me. But I'm almost just creating the space to be able to receive it versus like going in and finding it. That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think that it's about keeping within ourselves a grounded mental position of just running in autopilot the mind without having to be so analytical, like you said, of just like, just do the functions. Because it's a crazy turnstile of energy that's going to be like in and out, and it's just like having to just kind of sit there and be like, And then what just kind of comes in that makes sense and it's in alignment. Okay. Instead of trying to, fish without bait and like looking on the pier for the bait.
And a lot of how we react to the thoughts that we think, most of which are not our own, has to do with the state of our physical body. If you're in an acidic state, if you're in a parasitic state, you're going to be reactive. You're going to be more prone to fear and just agitation when things are not feeling clear. And that's going to make you have a smaller space that you're holding for the truth to really come in. So,
It creates a lot of strain.
Breath, alkaline foods, meditation,
water, rest, food.
rest,
Like
disconnection from
human
screens.
needs.
Disconnection from screens is
Nature.
like great, easy, foundational stuff we can be doing to just let this space for the truth to be a normal thing in our lives. I feel like that process you described is how we're learning to do everything in a better way right now, because we're realizing we're not the creators of everything. There's a huge thing in the spiritual community right now, people really like waking up to the unscrupulous nature of how the law of attraction is sold to people as a tool for manifesting your desires. We're beginning to see we're not all just these all-powerful creators of every single second of our lives. Like, we are responsive beings, we're receptive beings that are working in communication, in relationship with Source to bring out the best in us and this world. And if we're not leaving space for that relationship, you're cutting off your that Jupiter at your back, that like great benefic energy that we all have access to just by being who we are.
And Source does have a time for us for things, and it has a time for us for not. And I think that's the hardest part about this spiritual, like, manifesting whole, like, just manifest whatever you want. Just, it's by doing this and doing this. Like, of course, but there's time, there's gateways, there's portals, there's time frames, we can't just say, oh, you know what, the sun's going to come up right now and let's go surfing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to happen. And then you go, well, you could drive right now to manifest that. But by the time you probably got there is right when the sun would come up from right now here.
I was thinking about this also as a misalignment with our wants and our needs. And so, like, there's this, why don't we desire what we actually need? Things as simple as, the foods we eat. It's weird that we're so misaligned with our bodies, but we're like trying to force them based off a certain diet that our intellectually, conceptually sounds like the right thing for us, but we don't actually know how to listen to what the body really needs. And so can we find that alignment out of that misalignment? And then there was another one, wants and needs. And on a bigger scale, when it comes to like our soul and then our ego, right? It's like, what on a short-term scale do we want? Do we want to manifest? What object do we want to manifest? What outcome do we want to manifest? But how disconnected are we from the remembering that, like, if it's meant to be ours, it will be ours. Like, we can't miss what's meant to be ours. And maybe we're relearning how to view things in a perspective where, like, can I learn to want what's mine? Can I learn to actually desire the deeper desires in my life, to actually see the gifts trying to come to me and like help me realign myself, and like be open to the idea that maybe I'm not being fully honest with myself about the potential of what I actually desire, what I'm like actually here to manifest or do or be or have or whatever.
I like that. I think that to kind of round things out here, I mean, the biggest thing that is going on is the sun square Pluto, but sextile Jupiter at the same time with a full moon. That's pretty big because sun square Pluto is a transformational experience. And I think all the things that were just said in the last 5 minutes about taking care of ourselves to go better on track in our life and to realign from our needs and wants in a huge way that is discerning, yet doesn't mean that we still aren't going to be able to have great and beautiful manifestations come true in our life. They're just like more beautiful ones by doing some really good work right now. And that's what Capricorn's prize is. There's a prize with Capricorn. Like, you get the goal, but with it in Libra, it's a beautiful goal. And it's like, but discern and just don't take in everything. Because I think that there's something too of like Jupiter's kind of like, let's go experience it all, right? But it's kind of like, why don't we experience the discernment of things that are in alignment?
Yeah, I think we are. I think that's what we're doing right now. I think that is what's happening. I think 2019 in general, we lived lifetimes in 1 year. And I feel like personally, I did so much. And there's no failures. Like there's no actual, like, it didn't work out. It's just like, it just cleared so much. And I just see you see all the options. You can see all the options and all the different routes. And then you can also see what's left is this process of simplification that I think a lot of people are coming back to. That's just like, I saw, and it was fun. And it was at Jupiter, like I lived things, I did things, I experienced things, and it was fun. And now I'm ready to like choose based off the value of the journey versus where I'm going. And there's like, it's so much more basic. The joy, the simplicity, the lifestyle, the creations, it's just rooted and simple and fun and lighthearted and connected.
Yes.
Potentially.
But I'm just going to drop a truth bomb. I am feeling and I am seeing a lot of people in denial of that experience that you're experiencing by not living in their truth, by living in not a heart space, but a space of, I will just do anything to have it the way I want it to be. Yes.
Yeah, that's totally present.
I've seen a lot of that, and I'm like, wow.
But that's what's going to be up for review. That's what all this astrology is, like volcano erupting to the surface, is all the veils are shattering right now. Like every veil is shattering. And so if you're trying to patch up veils, like with like, tape, like Scotch tape, and then all of a sudden there's this mirror and it's like, it's a shattered mirror. Right. And the tape's covering the mirror. You can't see, there's nothing.
It's a foggy mirror.
Let it shatter. And that's, that's a process. We can go through it if we want.
I think that's what this comes down to intimacy at the end of the day. That this is about intimacy is integration, and intimacy is when we you guys brought up the womb. Well, I brought up the womb thing, but you guys said you guys were talking about it earlier. It's about not being afraid to go into a great space, but there's so much that's been about fear of intimacy, because there are a lot of options of, did I explore and am I going to be screwed over if I go in fully into something, whether that's a relationship, a job, or even just anything in yourself that you're doing, the time of day of what you choose to do or anything, right? But it's like, actually by committing through something that you've already done a lot of your understanding, you've seen the value, you've seen the heart space fully open, the emotional realm that's totally connected with an understanding of value and understanding of this, that the adventure comes through that in rocket ships into an adventure instead of the adventure of experiencing what ifs constantly. Because I think the experience of what ifs constantly is very deflating and also not the lesson of Sagittarius. I think that Sagittarius is about taking, a lot of information. But I think that at the end of the day that it wants to use all of its energy to direct the gravity and the life force towards a path that is great, and is all the energy that is pulled back on that bow and arrow, and its aim is set so high because of so much no more what ifs, but I am fully embodied
conviction
of belief.
Conviction. Yeah, and like not even taking in just information, but experience is so much about, and that's what I think is happening, is like remembering that it's about the humanity. It's about coming into the human sphere and the animal. Like, how do we integrate the animal side? And I was like, you said intimacy, and I was so beautiful because I got this almost like movie reel of scenes from my life, and I'm like, how do we become more intimate with life? Like, what about just living intimacy? What is that? Like, what does that look like? Not just like in relationship, not just in like setting, you know, a date for like a intimate setting. Imagine if your life is intimate, if you're intimate with life.
I was going to say that, believe it or not,
That's so dope.
being an astrologer as long ago as I started and committing intimately, fully into it, and have not let it go this whole time, has been the adventure of my life, and has received all of life's pleasures, and even having you two sitting on this couch and in my life as best friends and colleagues and spiritual light workers, and in every way. That when you do go into full intimacy into something, like, everything shows up.
It's waiting for you.
Yeah. And so I can say that I have lived that for the last 7 years plus doing this. Have not had a day off in 7 years, but with intimacy, are there breaks?
You can't put it away.
Yeah.
I think also what I'm feeling is like, when love shatters your ego, intimacy is what puts you back together in your true alignment. And it's being willing to allow that to come in and do it for you, and trust that that's going to be an even better orientation than you thought you were before. That's what's capable right now. That's what's possible right now. That's the most beautiful
thing I've heard in a while.
So I would say, I want to say that it's definitely a good time. Like, if you're seeing yourself as Hercules, maybe not trying to kill the demon like every other time in history that Hercules has gone through something, but maybe just like turn the arrow upwards and shatter the glass ceiling, that there is even a demon to kill. Or that, you know, there's even a need for a hero that's greater than an ordinary person. I don't know. I was just
I keep getting, you know,
do you know?
It came up today, but Alexander the Great, who was the all-conqueror who wanted to go all the way east and conquer all the land, he never even made it home. So sure, his intimacy was that, but he ended up distracting himself because he got kind of bored once it was so easy conquering the world, that he ended up like in the Middle East, like with like a little boy who was like his like mate, turned into like his like side lover. Never saw his wife again, and that they say that the side lover is the one that killed him, and then that's what caused all of the world today and the strife there is, because he had conquered pretty much the world as people knew. But when he died, everyone squabbled over who's the owner of the land now and who's going to be the ruler, and that's when it all happened in the Middle East. And
I wonder what Pooh Bear was doing that whole time.
That's a good question. But I like that he's using Hercules. I like that there's a lot of superheroes. Aries is the superhero.
Yeah.
Always.
The pioneer.
But
the warrior.
I think that this is a little bit more like being Batman and kind of creating the superhero from your fears and facing your fears. I like Batman because he's always... He doesn't have any other reason. I mean, of course, his parents were killed, right? So, of course, you know, Bruce Wayne is like just decimated by that and wants to clean the city up. But there's something about him not doing it for attention. He's doing it for a deeper, meaningful, like, purpose. And he's really caring, and he's not afraid to... Like, he actually doesn't do it for the ego at all, because he actually doesn't want anybody to know it's him.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, if you're going to use Avengers, like, it's kind of like Iron Man, right? Like, he does it because he just wants to be like, you know, like
Iron Man.
Yeah. You know, Robert Downey Jr. wants to be like, you know, like, I'm Mr. Cool Guy, and I got the coolest suit, and I got, you know what I mean? And then, you know, but they all have their traumatic stories to them. I think Chiron is kind of a traumatic story to become a hero, but a hero that has some sort of good purpose. And I don't think that you have to like deny parts of your ego through all this, but I think that it's about aligning the ego in a beautiful way to do something beautiful and something meaningful. that still satisfies you in a way that makes you feel happy and that is positive to others and to yourself and to the world.
Yeah.
What's it called? What's the horse thing called when it comes out of nowhere? Is it a dark horse?
Trojan horse.
I think both kind of have the same.
When you make the like saying, I was thinking of that, how like Chiron, Mars, and like Chiron and Aries oppose Mars and Libra is like, it's like the warrior you never saw coming that like wins. It's like the one that you thought was like slacking behind the whole time. It was like this peaceful, like he did not have any weapons. He wasn't ready at all.
The Trojan horse is a gift.
Oh, I'm talking about what's it called when you're like the black horse or the dark horse. Craig, do you know?
I think it's dark horse.
I think it's dark horse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Long shot.
Okay, it's a long shot. Okay, well, I think
we can go into a lot of different horses.
I was going for that. I was going for like the unexpected, almost like the underdog. The underdog. There we go.
The Trojan horse was this offering over in Troy, and then they got in, and then this, they were all hiding inside the Trojan horse and got in the city, and then sacked the city because they couldn't get through the walls.
There we go. Change the game plan.
But I think we all have to be careful of people showing up looking like they're heroes, because if we're in a place of looking like we need a hero, that hero might come in and not be really a hero.
Let me stop everyone right there. You don't need a hero.
Yep.
You are the hero. Do not listen to anyone that says they're your hero.
Yes, please.
Turn the other way and say, no.
No. Discernment.
You're your own hero. Be your own hero.
Discernment.
And I think really, really tuning in, unifying, bringing it all in to you is so important right now. There is a rampant, in my opinion, misuse of icons, gods, goddesses, demigods, etc., that people are using to form this like synthetic culture for themselves so that they can feel like they have something to carry them through their transformation. And I think that because the archetypes are so alive in today's skies, it's really important that we have a lot of awareness and a lot of reverence if we're connecting to any kind of deities, and that we know why we're doing that. And hopefully it has some kind of tie to our family lineage or our actual lineage, because if we're just plucking gods and things out of nowhere and like sticking them to us, we don't really know what we're messing with. And I think more people do need to be just more aware and careful of that. Speaking from personal experience.
I was going to say, I got a very big visualization of like, source is the one that is always truly there. Mm-hmm. But like, it's almost like people that are using all these icons and gods and making them kind of even their whole identity or whatever. It's kind of like knocking on that door and they're like, I'm taking a shower right now. Like, what the fuck you want?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then they're like,
go back to source.
If you want that, then I want something.
Like, go back to source. Or did you read the whole entire museum I have that teaches you about my story and everything and learns from the mythology of it? And like,
I think it's all about intention.
Through the mythology, and like, I think it's okay for people to connect with it. I think though that you hit the nail on the head though, Dylan, because there's a lot of that shit going on right now. Like, people are like completely creating. You're right. Like this video game of like, let me pick all the characters I like the most. And they've got my back, and they're with me all the time. And
I think
then it's almost distracting from source itself.
Right. Because when we're playing a video game, instead of actually making any, cultivating our presence in our own lives, which is where all of the true spiritual growth occurs.
And then the other part of it is I think that people are taking relationships and making them icons. Or to get to your social media thing, then they can create that through social media people or celebrities on television or anything, right? Like creating this, well, I want to be like that, or that's the thing I need to be. And then if they were to actually go into it, they don't know if that's really actually what they would want to do,
Yeah.
Like if somebody were to go under my desk and see the mound of mail and papers and bills and all this stuff that it takes to get this thing going, I don't know if they'd really want to be here doing this, sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That it takes a while to. Like it takes a stepping stone in life. And this is where Capricorn, I think, rules this whole entire time, is like, everything's like this right now. And that's okay. I think everybody really wants the fast shot.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to the community, we need to start realizing that that fast energy we want is through community and connection and love and feeling and support.
Authenticity.
Because that is an instant gratification. That's not a negative one, but an instant positive, always there and supportive. And you actually aren't going to be using your icons or any of the things that, like, these gods or goddesses in the way of, like, you have people that are in front of you that you're not even thinking about that. You're going to be laughing about something that you're just going to be back into your heart space where you're not going to be attaching to, I need this to get me through right now. Or like, I need my crystal now to get through this ride in the car. You know, I'm seeing a lot of that now. Like, like,
You got good people, you're good.
totally.
Yep.
Well, I think this was great. It was great to have you back, Dylan. It's good to see you back, and your energy really brought just a huge new, well, I would say just a upgraded version of you. Because I don't think
Thanks.
you change. I just think you evolve.
As we all do. Happy to be back.
And you look
Mostly
fat.
because I get to hang out with you guys.
Of
and
course.
you guys.
And it's always great with you, Sarah. Like, you brought so much great way of counterbalancing these two masculine energies tonight in such a beautiful way. For real.
Of course,
Hi-ya.
this is fun.
No.
This is life. This is good. We're lucky to have this. And it is so great to have you back. We've been holding it down, but it's been, we're just ready for you to come back. And
You know, you kind of
it feels so right. It just feels so right.
You know, by you pulling your magician thing that you do, you become more famous. You become more infamous, my friend. You become more wanted.
It's
So-
like the followers thing for Instagram. That's what Dylan's doing, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's just trying to get you
This
to
has all
want
been
more.
engineered.
Yeah, I know. No, it's true. But
Oh, God.
I love it. I love it. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, good shit.
I feel it the second I stepped in the door.
Boom. Well, we love you all very much. Check out highvibe.tv, of course. We're awesome episodes like this and exclusive content. Make sure you join us, highvibe.tv. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Sarah. All their handles are down below. It's at the Spirit Advisor with a O. And it is with at Sarah _Paasch AASCH.
Boom.
Boom. Thanks so much. You can follow me at the Leo Kingdom and help follow us at High Vibe TV on Instagram and on Facebook. And we'll see y'all later.
It's so exciting that the spiritual community is on the rise, but finding a spiritual network that's just as exciting is daunting. I mean, all this old regurgitated content from 10 years ago and old footage, and then of course you've got the light and fluffy stuff out there that just makes for a good meme and just makes you feel like, okay, I didn't get left with that depth, that connection. And that's what High Vibe TV is all about, raising the vibration with exclusive daily, weekly, curated content with our in-house studios, all about astrology, tarot, intuition, doing curated talk shows about art, about going even deeper into the universe, aliens, we talk about it all, connecting with your guides, human design, whatever is new and cutting edge and part of this new age, it's all on here on highvibe.tv. Check us out on our apps on iOS, Android, Roku, and we're on Apple TV. Or go to highvibe.tv. We have live shows. We connect with our audience. It's all about the community. Raise your vibration now. Check us out, highvibe.tv.